second speaker, Mr. Chidi Ukandu. Welcome, sir. Welcome, sir.
Our topic is driven by value, living the life. So I'm going to be playing with the words a bit. So driven by value. So it assumes that the value is a driver. So this is a picture of a driverless car that got stuck in wet concrete. So you can see that when a car is driverless, you can see all the gadgets on top of the car. So a lot of tech has gone into this car being an excellent car, and it can do a lot on its own. But when there is no driver, it will not know where there's roadwork sometimes, and it can see it got stuck in wet concrete. So that is what happens when there are no values, or when the values are not cast in stone. It's possible to think that you've done a lot, but if the values are not concrete, it can derail once in a while. Wrecks are certain. The wrecks will always be certain. In spite of all the AI gadgets, the driverless car can still derail. So when we do not have the right values, we can still derail. So it's important that we start with the values and we end with the values, like we used to say when we were young. Jesus started with prayer and ended with prayer. And if he's our model, we should start with this prayer and end with prayer. We start with values and end with values. So the values that we have should be consistent at all times. And if the values are not there, so the values drive us and we live the life. So if the values are not there, that means that the life we are living can end up in the wrong place, because it's like a wind, it's a boat that is on sea without anybody controlling it. Wherever the wind blows it goes to. But when we have our values driving us, leading the way, then we will definitely not be making this kind of mistakes. We'll not get stuck in wet concrete like this driverless car. So I have this quote: children are not just raised by what we teach them, but by what we consistently leave in front of them. Both UC and Pastor Lubimi have spoken a lot about being role models. So I'm going to most of what I'm going to be saying today is about role modeling. And it is not just you don't just say, you have to leave it in front of them. And it's what we live that they see us do. What they see us do is what they eventually end up doing. So we can say something today, some people say, do as I say, not as I do. But for the kids, it's do as I do. If you say something and you do something else, they'll clock that thing that you did, and that is what they will eventually start doing. So we need to live the way we want our children to live. And we need to be sure that our values are clear to those around us. And people should be able to see us and know our values. Just like Pastor Lubimi was talking about her son, when the children want to do something and they know that his values are not aligned with those values, they will always say, please don't come with us. So that is the way it should be for us as parents. Our values should be clear, not just to our children, but to everybody around us, so that they will know what they can do around us. And also, when people want to invite our children to parties, they'll be able to know, no, let's not bother, because he or she won't let their kids come to this party. So our values should be clear to those around us. And it's not just by what we say, it's by what we do. And if we live by our values, we will always stand out. So we will stand out because there's so much darkness in the world that we live in today. If we do not live by our values, we'll just blend in like all the crumpled pieces of paper that you can see in the slide. But if you live by your values, even if people laugh at you because they can call you Jew man, or they can say that you don't know what's up, and eventually you will stand out. When we are looking for people with values, they will know who to point to. When you go to, if you go to the civil service where we say a lot of things go wrong, if you're looking for somebody with integrity, they will know who to point to, because it's evident. People will see it. And such values are enduring. And eventually, when there is a prize to be won, even though the other people are doing things that are not right and seem to be getting away with it, because you're standing out by your values, it will be evident. And the recognition will come. It may be delayed, but it will never be denied. It will come at the right time. As long as you're consistently living up by your values, you will stand out from the crowd eventually. And it's sometimes it's like delayed gratification when you want to live by your values, because you can see people doing the wrong thing and they get away with it. They seem to be getting by. People living in the wrong way seem to be getting promoted at work, or their kids get to go into university because they helped their kids to pay through exams and all that. And your own kid is not getting university because the child has learned that you can't do exam malpractice, and they decide not to do exam malpractice. Those that are doing exam malpractice seem to be getting forward. At the end, it will show up. Like I always, when I talk to my wife, water will always find its level, and water does not flow upstream. Eventually, it will pay off. And we need to be patient and hold on to that value. And one thing about values is that because you start off with the right values does not mean you end with the right values. Pastor Lubimi mentioned Solomon. Solomon started with the right values, but he didn't end up with the right values, unfortunately, because it was clearly written. God clearly told him, do not follow these women. He started with the right values, offered 1,000 burnt offerings. God appeared to him twice. So you can say, this is somebody that God has appeared to twice. That means that he knows everything. He knows what to do. But he ended up with the wrong crowd. And the values that he started with were not the values that he ended up with, because they took his heart away from God. So if you start off with the right values, you need to ensure that you remain in the right circle. Being driven by values is not a destination. It is a journey, and that journey never ends. It is a journey. And we can never say that we have arrived. It's something that we do lifelong. And for us to end in the right way, we have to remain connected to the source of power, which is to God. We are just like branches of a tree. When a tree falls off the branch, no matter how beautiful that branch is, as long as it is not connected to the source, it will just wither away after a while. The withering will not start immediately, so the tree may still think it's alive. But with time, you see that the values will be shifting. The boundaries will keep getting blurred, and eventually you look back and say, how did I get here? It doesn't happen all in one single fell swoop. It just happens gradually. That is why you must ensure that when you're working with your values, you're reinforcing your values by read your Bible and pray every day. So those two things, reading your Bible and praying every day, and also being in the right circle, we can never overemphasize them. We sing it to children, but it's all the more important for even adults, because we are like in the midst of wolves all around us. So we cannot overemphasize the need of staying connected to the source, to ensure that, I'm sure if you look back, there are people that you started with. You went to Sunday school together, maybe in secondary school and university, you were Christians together and you had the same values. But if you look back, everybody is not on the same page right now. So that tells us what can happen. The Bible says the person that thinks that he's standing should take heed lest he falls. So we cannot stand and say I cannot fall and then just live my life anyhow. So we must stay connected to ensure that we arrive at the end because like I said, it's not a destination, it's a journey. That throughout the journey till when Christ comes or when we go to meet him, that we are representing those values. And we have to reflect those values everywhere. At home, at work, in the bus, on the street, everywhere. The values should be consistent at all times. And one place where we can reflect these values and cultivate these values is in the family. Deuteronomy 6 verse 7 says, repeat them again and again to your children. Talk about them when you're at home, when you're on the road, when you're going to bed, when you're getting up. And what are the people meant to talk about? The values, the law that God gave them, the values that you want to build around your family. We drum it into them. We say it, we live them. So not just saying it, but we repeat them until it is embedded in our minds, until it's embedded in their minds. When you're at home, we talk about it to the children. When you're on the road, the values are the same. Just like, I think it was you that talked about traffic light. When the traffic light is red, you tell them when the traffic light is red, you stop. And as you say it, you actually do it. You don't just say it and then do something else. When you're going to bed, you're repeating it. When you're waking up, you're repeating the same thing. So we need to overload our environment, overcharge our environment with these values in whatever way. We can print them and paste them, repeat it, say it consistently, say the same thing. You do this, you just keep doing it because it is a journey. And we cannot say because we have done it yesterday, they'll live with it tomorrow. And that is the way it is. Okay, so the family is the base, the family is a tree, and the children are the branches that come up from the family. And it is a basic unit of the society. If there is anything wrong with our society today, it starts from the family. If there is anything wrong with our society today, it starts from the family. Everything nurture starts in the family. If we have to get it right in the society, it has to start from the family. The parents have the greatest responsibility because we are the first people that our kids encounter. We are the people that the parents encounter, or rather, the children encounter the parents first. So everything starts from the family. Politicians are from families. Kidnappers are from families. Pastors are from families. Excellent professionals are from families. So you can see all these are microcosms of the society, but everybody starts from family. So if the nurture is right from the family, then that means that the society will be good. So the family is a basic unit of the society, and we cannot overemphasize the need of instilling the right values in our society, in our families. So we've talked about role, like I said, I'm going to say a lot about role modeling. And I think both of our previous speakers have talked about this. So it's about showing me, show me, don't just tell me. So as far as the kids are concerned, they want us to show them. We don't just live out the life. We don't just say it. We live out the life. So we need to live the kind of life we want to see in our children. And that must be driven by values. That assumes that we have the right values ourselves. So when we don't have the right values, it's difficult to consistently live out that kind of life. So we need to live the kind of life we want our children to see. When you want them to grow to become Christians, you need to be a Christian at home, not just in church. They need to see the way you do everything and see Christ reflected in you. So you show them the fact that this is integrity, this is honesty, this is kindness, no jealousy, no backbiting, no gossip. All those things you show them. And they must never see us living in the wrong way because they will copy it. There's an Igbo proverb that talks about a baby goat, or a kid, a baby goat, whatever we choose to call it today. So it's the way the mother choose when the baby goats are first, when they're born, they're obviously taking milk, but they'll be watching the mother chewing grass. And as the mother is chewing grass, that's the way they'll also learn how to chew grass. So we have to live out this life that we want them to see. And when they see us living this life, then they will see the examples that we're showing, and they will live by that example. So the family is where the parents show, not just tell. So whatever you tell, you must show. Don't just tell them. And the family must also be a safe space where the children can come to you when they miss the target and not live with the weight of condemnation. So we must build that safe space where they can come into and not know that they're not going to be condemned. Because even as we are on this journey, as parents, we also make mistakes sometimes. So they will make mistakes, but they have to learn from it and recover from those mistakes. They will learn from those mistakes and recover from those mistakes. So when they are battered, the society out there is not going to paint, it's not a bed of roses. So they will need to know that there's one place where they can go and receive love when the society batters them, when they make a mistake. That means that the family should be a place where they can come back knowing that everything will be all right, and they can be reassured that everything will be all right. And we're not going to add to whatever battering the society has done to them. So I'll play this short video
Down towards Lingard. Ronaldo! Manchester United win! It's Cristiano Ronaldo! On this field!
All right. So the family is like a role modeling agency. So it is a place where you can see from those videos, children will always copy something they see us do. So that is why it is important that we show, not just tell. So you can see how young those kids are, and they're already looking at what their parents are doing and copying them, including walking with when like the grandparents that can't stand straight, they're trying to pretend to walk like that, or watching sports with the dad and then repeating the same kind of mannerism that the father is repeating when they are watching sports. So it is a role modeling agency. Our families are role modeling agencies. And the role models in this case are the parents. So as far as we are concerned, the role models in this case are the parents. So what do they see us do? That is what they will copy. So in which areas are we role models? In speech, in character, in respect, in community, and most especially in worship. Now, in our family, so when we started up, this one of speech, we made it a point of duty to talk to them about saying the right words. And if you make a mistake and say the wrong words, there will be the people that will say, but you said this is not right. So they are watching. You have told them, but you have to also show. So don't just tell them and expect that you can say it. Don't tell them that you can't say this, but you go and say it. So the kids are watching us and they will learn from us what we say. So what kind of words do we use when we are talking to people? And the kids that we have these days, especially the younger ones, they will question everything. So that is why that boardroom model is very good. And that is why they have the opportunity to ask questions. They will question everything. So if you're telling me not to speak this way and you're speaking this way, why should I do it and not? And you, why am I not at liberty to speak anyhow? And you are at liberty to speak anyhow. So in what we say, no use of foul language. You must never use foul language. And you must always use kind words. And the next thing is character, integrity. You must show integrity in everything that we do. Not just in what you say, but in what you do. In honesty. So you will never catch us telling our children, tell them that we're not around when we're around. Because you're sowing seeds of dishonesty in them. And you know, when you sow a grain of corn, it's not going to bring out a grain when it grows or when it matures. It will bring out a full cob. So that's it. When you sow seeds of the bad character in your children, except God helps them, the seeds that we sow will become trees and they will multiply whatever we have sown. And then respect. Some of us have maybe domestic staff around us, or maybe you live in a place where there are security men at the gate, and how do you talk to those people? So respect is not for only those that are above us, it's for everybody. How do you talk to the cleaners in your office, cleaners in your house, security men around you? The children are watching how we treat these people, and they will copy from us. So no matter the class, no matter the level, we must respect everybody, and they will watch us and see how we're respecting people and copy this respect. In the community where we find ourselves, how do we behave in the community? Are you walking around and dropping things, littering things all around the whole place? You buy stuff on the road, maybe you're in traffic, you buy something in traffic to eat. When you finish it, you open the window and just drop it up on the road. They are learning that. So what kind of citizens are we in our community? In the area, in the compound where we are, in the estate, wherever we live, how do people see us? How do we relate to those around us? What do they see? So the children will see us, how we are behaving, and those values that we are displaying in the way we live around us, our children will copy those values. And then in worship, you don't tell them to go to church and then you go somewhere else. There's midweek service, maybe you drop them off and then you go somewhere else, or there's a Sunday school. You're too busy during the week, and then you need Sunday morning is the only day you can rest. And then there's nothing like worship in the house. They will learn, so they will continue going because because they don't have a say at some point, because they cannot say no. You drop them there and you leave, and they can't go home by themselves. When they get to the point where they can make decisions, the examples that they have seen the parents display is what they will start living out. So if we want our children to live the values that we revere, then we must show it in speech, in the way we behave, in character, in the way we respect all the people around us and in our community, and most importantly, in the way we worship. And our being role models is something, so we are consistent in the day and consistent at night. So it's not something that we don't have, there are no different shades of gray in this one. It is one shade of gray. We must be consistent no matter what it is, no matter the circumstances. And it does not happen by accident. We have to be intentional about the way that we raise our children. So we raise our children to respect people. And so when people come into the house, you don't need to, even though at some point in the early days, you look at them and maybe use eyes and speak to them. But they know that when people come in, they don't need to be reminded to greet. They don't need to be reminded that when adults are discussing, they need to move away. And there are some discussions that are not meant for children. So you intentionally put that into them. And it must be very consistent. Role modeling as parents is not a part-time work, it's full-time. And we cannot outsource it. These days, we cannot outsource the role modeling for our children to domestic staff or to school. Expect that if you want our children to have the good character, we must put them in a good school. Yes, but it must also be reinforced at home. The home is the starting point because we are the first point of contact for the children. It is a full-time job, and we can never get tired. You see, the picture on the bottom right is a beaver. You can see how small this beaver is. But this beaver can chop down any tree. It just needs to be patient. Once it starts, it will take time, but it will chop down the tree. And it will not give up until it chops down the tree. So when there's some characters that you want to see in your children, and you keep trying to reinforce it, you talk to them about it, you show them, but sometimes they may not be there yet, they may not get there. You can't stop. You can't say, because I've tried for 14 years, after all, I've tried my best. You can't give up. We have to be patient, just like God never gives up on us. So we can't afford to give up on our own children. We can't afford to give up on those in our circle of influence. Let me just go back to this outsourcing. See, this outsourcing is very important. And it is essential that we take our role as parents very seriously, because nobody is going to raise our children for us if we don't raise them up. And they're exposed to tech these days. The internet is raising your child. Are you okay with that? Are we happy with the values that we leave them to? So when we're raising our kids, we have, like, so for their laptops, we set up monitoring, because they are kids, you try to do what you need to do, but they might want to stray sometimes, but you need to bring them back in line. So if we don't bring them back in line, the internet will raise them up for us. So people outsource parenting to the internet, and it will never end up well. So we have some monitoring devices that you put up. So I can see the websites that are going, you can see the websites that are visiting. You can put monitoring, you can put time limits on the devices. And if they try to go to any website by maybe click on a link, I'll get an alert. And we talk about it. Most times it's not, they don't go to inappropriate website. Maybe I've set an age limit that they cannot go to Twitter. So once they try to go to something outside their age limit, I'll get an alert. So that way you ensure that you have told them, you have shown them, you have also set the boundaries. Now, tech is one way that a lot of things can go wrong with values. We also need to show them. So what values are we showing them in the way we use our gadgets? So from morning till night, are we on our phone, either scrolling, doom scrolling from up to down, down to up, and then that's all they see us do. They will learn that, because most times when they see us with gadgets, it means they just have gadgets of their own. And can we boldly and confidently pass on our phone habits to our children? Do we know all that they do on their phone, even when they're under the blanket? Take a step back and ask yourself, imagine how much time you can free up to engage with your children if you drop the phone, and rather use that time for engagement. And in role modeling for them, it's a combination of enforcing and convincing them. So the convincing them is trying to instill the right values in them. They appeal to their hearts and mind. You keep them on the right track, but enforcing will help them make sure that when there is somebody straying off, that enforcement to bring them back to line. There must be the right balance. There must be that right balance between enforcing and convincing. Going back to the boardroom. So we enforce and we convince. So we both work hand in hand. For me, I'm in Nigeria because of work, and my family is in the UK. But right from Nigeria, I control what goes on in their devices. So because there is a distance, does not mean you cannot do it. I can mirror whatever they're doing and see everything that they're doing. And if there's anything going out of line, we have a discussion about it. So that is why I'm enforcing and also convincing them and having that discussion. And in enforcing, you need to set and maintain boundaries. And the boundaries must not be soft boundaries. If they know that the boundaries are soft boundaries, they'll keep shifting the boundary, they'll stretch the boundaries. And when you try to set boundaries, they can throw tantrum. We can never be intimidated by tantrums. Going back to what Pastor Lubimi said, we are their parents, not their friends. So we are not there to make them happy. When they throw tantrum, we just forget about it. We should not be intimidated by tantrums. Like we should say, vex cannot boil egg. They can get angry, their anger cannot boil egg. And when we take away tech from them, we must provide alternatives. Because kids, they need to be doing something. Provide alternatives. It could be you being available to them, or giving them other things that they can do. Provide alternatives to ensure that they are engaged in whatever it is that they're doing. And then put technical control. I've talked about technical controls. Then the boundaries also. I am here. Like I said, I'm in Nigeria. Because I cannot outsource my parenting, because I cannot outsource my boundary setting, the convincing part of my work as a parent, I have daily meetings, daily devotion in the morning before I go to work. What it means is I need to wake up earlier, make the sacrifice of waking up earlier, do my own personal devotion to ensure that I'm connected to the source, and then we have our family devotion, taking advantage of what the technology offers. So those things ensure that the boundary lines are very clear. So as we read our Bible daily, we keep the boundary line very clear. The society will try to make the boundary line blood, but we must never allow it to get blood. And you can see what I wrote there. Discipline is not outdated. Discipline is not outdated. We cannot say because we are raising Gen Z children, we cannot discipline them. But discipline is not only flogging. It can be grounding. It can be taking away the devices for a while. So all these things work hand in hand. So role models, we enforce and we convince, and we show and we lead by it. And we need to get creative in the way that we work as parents. So there's no limit to your creativity. So I'm not going to explain what it means to be creative, because creativity means different things to different people. But we must get creative in the way we enforce and convince, the way we show and not just tell. And most importantly, we must not forget to pray. I mentioned that we have our family prayer meetings every morning. We also have daily Zoom calls in the evening just to catch up on how the day has gone. And because they have seen that the family is a safe space, things that happen in their schools, when people are behaving badly, they can come to you and tell you, this is what happened, this is what this person said, and then use that opportunity to shape. So that is why prayer is very important. Just to reinforce what Pastor Lubimi said. They spend most of their time in school, and you cannot be there with them. So it is the prayers that we have made that will keep them in check, that will ensure that that boundary is there, that they will not get influenced. And they will know when to turn up they will know when to say yes, I want to say no. So when they have a red flag in school, they will always bring it back in the evening when we are having our discussion. So we have that discussion, and then they'll bring the red flag and we discuss it. And if there's anything to pray about, we pray about it as well. So we need to get creative, and we must not forget to pray. Get creative in ensuring that they have the right alternatives that will keep them engaged. And role model for us as parents, most families are made up of father, mother, and children. Now, the father will not be pulling a different direction. The mother will not be pulling a different direction. A is not equal to B. A must be A. So we must be on the same page at all times. So we must be on the same page at all times. And we don't have to, they don't need to see one parent as somebody that they can go to and get something when the father says no. And our children must never see that we are, because if you leave them, they can set you up and expect two of you to fight in front of them. When we finish fighting, they know that they set up a quarrel. And when there's a quarrel, then they will take advantage of that and get what they want. So we must never let that happen. We need to be aligned in the room as parents, and then we must be aligned in front of the children. If you can imagine these two guys rowing boats in different directions, the boat will remain there. It will just be moving in circles. We can only succeed as parents when we align on our values as father and mother. We must avoid conflicts in our values. And the children must not see one parent as an easy target. When the other person gives an instruction, everybody must align, because it's assumed that both of you have already aligned privately before you come out. So we must be moving, have one front, no conflicts in parenting when it comes to raising children, being role models. And finally, there are two things we should give our children. One is roots, the other is wings. We give them roots by instilling these values into them, and we empower them to fly. We empower them to deliver, empower them to fly, so that when they go out there, they are representing the roots, that because their roots have gone down, whatever comes out of that roots, they're representing the family values that we are putting them. My son, most times, we live in a society where kids are very unruly. But one comment that is regular in his end of term report is that he's an exceptional gentleman. He's very respectful. He's very empathetic. And that is because we have given him the roots, and then he has the wings to fly. So that in the midst of everything that is happening around him, he still remembers the values of respect and empathy. And funny, because of the kind of society, they can make the parents cry. The students can make the teachers cry. So he's always one that goes to try to apologize on behalf of the rest of the students, when just try to calm everything down. Because of the rules that he has, he knows that the fact that they're doing it does not make it right. Everybody is doing it doesn't make it right. Because he has the right roots, then he has the right wings to fly. I think I'll just want to end there. Thank you very much, everybody. I hope I've made some sense in what I said. That's my message for today. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you for your message, sir. Thank you for your message. We appreciate it.
Yeah.
Everybody, please, can we appreciate our second speaker for that interesting, coming from an engineering background. I knew that was what we were going to see. And for information, I did not see his slides. We did not talk about his slides. I didn't even know what he was going to talk about today. So I just left it to him and I said, let me just come and sit and listen like everyone else. And interesting to see that I could also see his engineering background as per always whenever he's speaking. Thank you so much, sir, for that wonderful. I love that you just focused on one thing, which is role modeling. Again, that is the theme that has come across all the three speakers today. So it's interesting. No matter what we want to do and say or talk about, at the end of the day, it is still about what we show our children. And thank you for the examples that you gave. And I mean, you live what you teach. I am your wife. I've been your wife for 17 plus years, and I can tell. And our children are truly blessed to have you as their father, if I may take this opportunity to say so. Thank you for your commitment. Thank you for your time. Stop. What's that? Thank you. Thank you for not being an absentee father. It's very important, Thank you for that.
I'm also affirming that.
Exactly. So thank you so much, Sister Yusuf, for even inviting him. My husband always tell I'm not a speaker. But you can imagine, judge for yourself. Is he not a speaker?
Honestly,
You can imagine.
it's beyond words. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.